And hello again. Here I am with another poem from my book, Kevin, Fourth in the Icy Things in Blue series. Um, this one is titled No Tears. Um, I might have a lot to say about this one. I mean, I always have a lot to say. But saying that, I'm just going to jump into this one. So I've said that a lot for these because since I already recorded them, I kind of know where it's going and I know it's going to suck up a lot of time. So I'm actively choosing to just save it all for after I'm done, unless I have something new to bring to the table, which I don't. And if I do have something new, I'm not going to know until I start reading it. So here we are. No tears. Today I tried to cry and failed. I didn't have the strength. Found I'd passed the point of no return beyond the deep of my emotional wealth. Knocked down the walls of sanity, scattering the pieces of my humanity to the farthest reaches of the land, too separate to be made whole again. Swam through the darkest of darks, leaving most of me behind. Walked into the light to learn that I only brought the will to survive. Swam through, I felt I needed a release, like I had so many times before. But every room in my soul had no space for things to store. The walls of my heart cracked, leaking all things small, like hope and faith and dreams and warmth, and left me in the cold. So with dry eyes I beg, I plead, let the emotion spill out of me. But how can you lose what you don't have? Break free from the emptiness. No matter how much my soul cries, no water leaves my eyes. It seems the only thing I feel is the lack of what I need to release. Today I tried to cry and failed. When did it get so bad that all I had to give was emptiness on emptiness? That was rough. I nearly lost it on those last two sentences there. Almost quite for real. I made it almost to the end, so there was that. But the last two lines, like they kind of sum it up real well. Today I tried to cry and failed. When did it get so bad that all I had to give was emptiness on emptiness? And Dario is a crier. I am also a crier. So the deeper the poems get, the harder it gets to not do that. But this is the state I personally believe he was in when he broke, before things began to get better. That he just hit a space where there was nowhere else to go but acceptance, which is the title of the next book. He literally didn't have anywhere to go. Like everything he had worked for and believed in was gone. And what I really like about this one, which I think I said in the original, or don't like, I'm not sure, is that I think people, and this is a personal kind of gripe, and I've talked about time before, but I think it undervalues other people's time when you constantly tell them they just need to make time. Um, and there have been times like last year, I had a full nervous breakdown at work. We were two people short staffed. It was Christmas Eve. It was before lunch started. And by the time I got back to work, it was after lunch had started. Um, and I just lost it. I went into the bathroom and I cried. I came back out. I went in the bathroom. I cried again. I came back out and I couldn't leave because we were short staffed. And I still couldn't work. And then I went outside and I sat on the wall and I cried some more. And people were coming by asking if I was okay. Um, One of the guys who I think works next door, I remember him vividly because I think, I don't know, I talked to him slightly longer when he asked if I was okay, which is really strange because I don't usually see him that late in the day, but then again, it was after 10. I could be wrong, but I do remember him coming by, but then again, I could be way wrong. But people came by, customers, regulars, and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm fine. I was not. Um, And I'm saying all of that to say is that on more than one occasion, I've definitely gone down to the bathroom expecting to cry, and I don't have time for it. Like, by the time you sink into the emotion, I gotta go back. There have been times when I've been working through a full on, I don't know how or if anybody else does it, but it's really cold at work. So if I'm shaking or if I'm lost or if I can't focus, I can always brush it off. But sometimes I'm quite literally having some sort of anxiety or anxious episode and on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And that's why I'm shaky. It's not because it's cold. That's why when you say stuff, I don't really know what to say, or I stand like I've blacked out for a few moments because I'm just trying to contain all of this energy that's trying to break out of me. Because if I leave and go to the bathroom, there's only so long I can be gone. And it's never enough time to cry. And so when it finally does happen, it's pretty much debilitating. I didn't feel better until the next day, and the next day was Christmas, and that was last year. And then, it's rough struggling with it, like debilitating anxiety and not being in the position to do anything with that. And sometimes you genuinely don't have time. I do not have time to write poetry, record poetry, edit books, do the covers, deal with cover designs and all that. Try to work on a way to get book reviews. To try to find a budget to promote. Then go to work for 10-hour days because I do 10-hour shifts. That includes lunch, so 9 hours. So at the middle of the island, when I live at the end of the island, and then somehow try to get in better shape so that my next blood test results are better, eat better and all that type of stuff. And once you start thinking about all of this, something has to go. And for me, it's usually sleep, the worst thing to let go. And when I decide sleep is more important, I'm infinitely less productive because I don't have enough time to do it. If I sleep, I genuinely do not have enough time. And I think the idea that anybody who says that is just using it as an excuse is harmful in a million ways and one. Yes, some people do, but it is actually legitimately a real thing to not have enough time in a 24-hour day to do the things that you need to do. And right now, for me, squeezing in fitness is difficult because I've simply gotten older and I cannot live off of low levels of sleep anymore. I have to sleep. And so I need to get these poems done because the final edit of my new book isn't really going to suck out that much energy or time. And I have until October, and I'm going to be finished long before then. So I can literally take my time. But this is going to suck up time. And, if I start another book because I got depressed as fuck and I need an outlet, it's going to take up time. And that's where the last sentence of this is the one that almost broke me for real. Today I tried to cry and failed. When did it get so bad that all I had to give was emptiness and emptiness? You get to a point where you only have enough space in life to give what's not getting everything done for you. It doesn't work. And so this year I'm hoping that's not it. And that's what I really like about this because just like I don't have time, but I feel the full weight of the world on my shoulders, life crashing against my back like rolling boulders, flattened to thin and squeezed into a full cabinet of folders. I need to find myself more effectively, more correctly, but the reality is I don't have time. And it's a very real thing. And I think there's a very strong difference between quite literally not having 24 hours in a day to get things done and time management where you choose the wrong things to do when you are doing all the things that are supposed to bring you joy and you don't have enough time in the day to do the things that bring you joy. Eventually, at some point, sometimes they stop giving you the joy that they should be, which is why writing is difficult because the levels that I know I should enjoy it at, I don't always enjoy it at those levels because I also wake up and realize, you haven't been to the gym in months, but when I'm there, when I'm running, which I hate, or when I'm exercising physically in the gym, what do? I think about all the books I haven't written yet. I think about plot points on the books that I'm writing now. I solve plot issues that may come up, books that I may never start, even though I'm not actively being a writer while I'm there. I'm still, because since I'm focusing on lifting or focusing on running, it's just my legs are moving. It's literally just me and the outside, or me and the world. And so it's another part of one of the things that gets me, in my creative space, which helps with depression. And I used to listen to a lot of music, and I tell people now I don't know anything new. And it's not just because I don't like the new artists and stuff like that, because even when I was hating on artists, I still knew their songs. But now, since I can't survive off of so little sleep, I don't have enough time in the day to do that either. So the fitness fell off. And listen, when I say listening to music, I mean on the bus, walking to work, at the gym, while I'm running, I would be just singing, talking to myself. And now I've just totally kind of like lost the drive. Just, I'm not pushing as hard because I chose sleep a few years ago. I said I need rest. And once I stopped overfilling my day with everything that brings me joy and surviving off of 2 to 3 hours of sleep, a lot of the things that I was squeezing in that time, I had to stop doing because I didn't have time to do them anymore. And so here we are. So I think there's a very, very strong line between not having time and poor time management, and that people who think everything is about making time undervalue and just straight up are not respectful of other people's time, because since it worked for them, it must work for everybody. And it stresses me out and I don't like it. But that's a personal issue. But yeah, you know, sometimes you genuinely don't have time, and that's where life of sacrifice comes in. What do you sacrifice, and can you sacrifice depending on your mental stability and the state of your emotional wealth? Can you even afford to sacrifice anything? Do you really need this thing that may seem useless to someone else? And so that's where poems like I Don't Have Time, or I Tried to Cry, or losing things, I'll get you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll get you. I can't remember the line in that poem or if it was the right poem. But that's where I'm going with this, and that's what I like about it. Knock down the walls of sanity, scattering the pieces of my humanity to the farthest reaches of the land, too separate to be made whole again. I use Humpty Dumpty themes a lot. That's what I call them. Shattering the pieces of something and not being able to put them back together. Um, because at some point, once you give up enough, of your space and time for things, you kind of feel like you've lost it and you'll never be able to put it back together again. But I feel like I'm rambling at this point. My mom just came in. You might hear her singing. So, as per usual, before I got so into this, I do start crying. If you've made it this far, thanks for stopping by.